What is going on, everybody? Danny back here for another reaction video. If you guys appreciate you guys stopping by the channel once again. If you guys have not, make sure you guys leave a like on the video, leave a comment, smash that subscribe button with the notification bell, turn on all that fun stuff, man. I appreciate you guys. Road to 1,300 subscribers. Today we're gonna be checking out a new video by WrestleMania, man. Biggest busts in WWE history. That is pretty much meaning like, you know, Jade Cargill or Awesome Kong from TNA. She had that little stint in WWE back, several years ago. Just people that you think are gonna be big, massive names in WWE, and nothing really comes of whether their gimmick or their character or their personality or whatever. They just cannot translate over to the fans, and the fans just don't give a fuck about them. So that's pretty much what this list is, and I'm looking forward to seeing what is on this list. And I see a Ryback right here, and Ryback's another one. Could have been a huge star in WWE, but for whatever reason could not. The fans didn't really care about him. He couldn't get out of the mid card. Now he fucking makes food reviews on YouTube and fucking does TikTok live. So we're gonna be checking this out. Like I said, if you guys like videos like this, make sure you guys smash the subscribe button, man. 1,300 subscribers. Very close to hitting that number. I appreciate you guys so much. And make sure you guys hit the notification bell as well. Let's check this out. Biggest busts in WWE history.
The biggest busts in WWE history. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Number 1, Giant Gonzalez.
Giant
One of
Gonzalez.
The Undertaker's favorite WrestleMania
Usually
opponent,
big guys aren't
believe
that,
it or not, but
you know.
Giant Gonzalez had a solid career before joining the company in 1993. He was a main staple in WCW that even feuded with Ric Flair for the WCW World Heavyweight title. But the problem with Giant Gonzalez was that he simply wasn't a good wrestler. However, it's been well known how much Vince McMahon values height and probably creamed his pants when he saw the near 8-foot beast.
Bro, I love
Gonzalez
that.
made his
Vince McMahon creamed his pants at the sight of Giant Gonzalez in his fucking a video of Vince McMahon fucking act like he's having a fucking orgasm or some shit. Like, bro, that editing was crisp, man.
His WWE debut in a big way by eliminating The Undertaker at 93's Royal Rumble. That led to a match between...
Bro, Undertaker on his 6 Feet Under podcast recently talked about Giant Gonzalez in a clip of that I saw, whatever. And he said that he did not like wrestling Giant Gonzalez. He wasn't that good of a seller, and he just wasn't. It was very hard to work a match with that guy. Yeah, Undertaker did not like it at all.
Between the two at WrestleMania 9, and it's considered to be one of the worst matches of all time. The Taker Gonzalez feud lasted until SummerSlam, and then
WrestleMania 41
downhill for the Giant.
Instead of playing Allegiant Stadium.
The Stars, Gonzalez was released the same year in October. It was clear that Vince wanted Gonzalez to be another Andre the Giant type monster, but Gonzalez's lack of wrestling ability was the biggest contribution to his downfall. Number 2, Taz. Taz's WWE career seemed so promising when he made his debut at the Royal Rumble in Madison Square Garden.
ECW, but he just could not get out of the mid-card section of
Taz was at the
WWE.
peak of his career thanks to his legendary run in ECW. The former ECW World Champion had the skills and charisma to be a top WWE star, but Vince McMahon...
Believe it or not, Taz's run in WWE was not very long. Like, he was in WWE for a long time, but his actual in-ring run was not, like, I think it was only 2 years. And then, like, late 2001, early 2002, whatever, he joined Michael Cole, and he did commentary the rest of the time, that he was there, for the most part. So his in-ring, stuff in WWE, his in-ring work, like, he was only an in-ring competitor for maybe 2 years. And then he transitioned over to... Because I think he debuted at... What was it? Royal Rumble 2000? Because didn't he have his debut match against Kurt Angle? If I remember correctly. Somebody will let me know in the comment section below. Even though he was a massive star in ECW, he was a little fish in a giant pond in WWE. And he just couldn't get out of the mid card. But he wasn't an active in-ring competitor for very long to really like develop himself, in front of a larger audience.
Likely didn't see much value for Taz beyond mid card. He quickly lost to Triple H on SmackDown, further cementing that he wasn't going to be nothing more than a mid card wrestler. What ultimately killed Taz's career was the mounting injuries that put him in the commentary booth. However, Taz was never able to top his strong debut against Kurt Angle.
Yeah,
the Olympic gold medalist shed some light on why Taz never reached a higher level in WWE.
I think the reason was Vince McMahon had this idea of Taz being a smaller guy and selling for the big guys and never giving up. And Taz had in his mind that he wanted to be a dominant wrestler and just beat everybody out dominantly. They didn't want him to be, he didn't want himself to be the underdog that was fighting from underneath. And I think that's the reason why they kind of ended Taz's career a little bit early, was because he had a different idea of what the creative had for him. And and then they made him a commentary. So that was pretty much the end of Taz's career. I don't think he lasted that long after this.
Nope.
In some ways, this makes sense. Taz was a believable badass in ECW because his in-ring prowess and size gave him that illusion. But when he came to WWE, he was no longer one of the big dogs in the yard. In theory, Vince's ideas sound as it still paints him as a badass, but in the role of an underdog. It's a shame that Taz's debut remains the most memorable part of his WWE career, but the fact that he didn't even get a run with the Intercontinental title is a crime against humanity. Number 3. Karma. Despite
Karma,
what WWE
man, Awesome
history
Kong.
would tell you, TNA Wrestling was the first promotion in North
There's
America
Awesome Kong
to have
in,
a women's
TNA.
revolution. When the company introduced its knockout division in 2007, they had a diverse set of talented women on its roster, but Awesome Kong and Gail Kim made the world take notice by having one of the best women's feuds ever. Awesome Kong was an accomplished wrestler. She fought across the globe in Japan, Shimmer, and Ring of Honor.
I'm pretty sure they'll talk about it here on the video. But didn't Karma or Awesome Kong, whatever you want to call her, she was Awesome Kong a hell of a lot longer than she was Karma. But I remember she was on Monday Night Raw or whatever, and apparently she said she was like pregnant, so she had to go away. Apparently, from what I've heard, is she faked the pregnancy to get out of her WWE contract or whatever. I don't quite know like the full-on details of the story. I do remember hearing something about her faking a pregnancy, and that's why her WWE run was not very long. I don't know what she's doing. I don't even know if she's still wrestling. I don't know if she's around. I don't know what she's doing now.
With TNA finally giving her the spotlight she deserved. When she finally signed with WWE in 2011, Awesome Kong represented hope that the company would finally take the women's division seriously. The creepy vignettes were simply perfect. Her character got over instantly, and she stood out from all of the other women on the roster. Her debut was equally strong, as she had the fans buzzing about what she would do next. Unfortunately, that all came crashing down when Karma was forced to disappear due to a pregnancy. It seemed that she was back on track when she made a return at the 2012 Royal Rumble match, but sadly she was released 6 months later. According to Kia Stevens herself, she wasn't mentally or physically prepared for a WWE run. The former TNA Knockouts champion had a miscarriage and never fully recovered from that traumatic experience.
Oh, it was a miscarriage.
The former TNA Knockouts champion...
Well, I apologize. Miscarriages are not a laughing, joking matter in any way. I did hear from somebody that she faked the pregnancy. I was not aware that it was a miscarriage and was involved. So I do apologize. Not that anybody gives a fuck what I have to say, but I mean, I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to watch this video. I love Chris Van Vliet's interviews. I'm gonna have to watch this one to get caught up to speed with the whole situation.
Felt that the release was a blessing in disguise as she hoped to return to the company one day. Karma really could have been a difference maker as Vince seemed to care about the character in the beginning. It's a shame that she never got another opportunity to prove how great she was to a wider audience. Number 4, Gail Kim.
Gail Kim.
Of the TNA Knockouts, the pioneer of the division was no stranger to WWE. Kim made a Raw debut in 2002 and immediately won the WWE Women's Championship. Despite the cool Matrix-like entrance and her alliance with Molly Holly, her first stint in WWE was directionless because the company didn't seem to understand what to do with her. However, Kim was on WWE's radar thanks to her incredible feud with Awesome Kong. She came back with some hype surrounding her name, but unfortunately for Kim, it was clear that WWE still didn't see her as a top star. She had some fun matches throughout her short stint, but it was nothing compared to what she did in TNA. The former WWE Women's Champion was just another girl on the roster by the time 2011 because her character was non-existent. Like Awesome Kong, Gail Kim had all the tools to elevate the division to new heights, but Vince didn't understand what made the former Knockouts champion work in TNA, nor did he ever put much effort into trying to give us something meaningful. Number 5, Austin Aries.
Austin Aries, bro.
In a WWE
this dude could have been massive in WWE.
One of the best professional wrestlers on the indie scene. However, it was his run in
I don't
TNA
even
that
know what he's
elevated
doing
his
now.
status as a possible WWE star. Despite his size, he was the total package. He had mountains of charisma, his mic skills were off the charts, and he was a fantastic in-ring performer. This is a rarity for any wrestler to have, and he could have been the exception to Vince McMahon's height rule because the
Bro,
guy
he could have been
understands
such a
character
massive
and the
star in
psychology of
WWE.
wrestling. However, the only negative about Austin Aries was his backstage attitude. Rumors have always painted Aries as a pain in the ass backstage, and even former TNA World Heavyweight Champion admitted this in an interview with VOC Nation.
I'm sure I can be a pain in the ass because I have my own opinions. Those aren't always welcome in a high-pressure situation where they're just trying to dump out content. Again, I've used the analogy. They, for the most...
This goes back to what I was saying before, bro, in the last video that we checked out. Being in, you know, pro wrestling or anything like that, any kind of competitive sports, there's so many different personalities that you got to deal with. Sometimes, even though you have your own opinion about something, sometimes it's best to just shut up, especially if you enjoy your career, if you enjoy your job, if you enjoy your place of employment. Sometimes it's best to just, you know, keep your mouth shut and, you know, do what they ask you to do. I'm all for people pretty much pave their own path. You know what I mean? If they don't feel appreciated, you know, maybe you shouldn't be there. Maybe you should, you know, go somewhere else. There's ways of doing it, though, that don't make you come off like you're a prick. This is all too common when it comes to pro wrestlers. Like I said, like dealing with so many different personalities. Like, you know, you're not going to get along with everybody, and you're always going to have a different opinion than somebody else. It's just all how you deal with it. I mean, we heard the same thing from Patrick Clark, Velveteen Dream. Obviously, all that online stuff or whatever, you know, WWE cleared him, you know, they looked into everything and, you know, they couldn't find anything. But I heard that the reason why NXT let him go is because he was hard to deal with backstage. So sometimes, man, you just gotta go with the flow, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that anybody should just sit there and take somebody else's shit. If somebody is poking and prodding you, then obviously, you know, open your mouth. But there's ways of going about it.
Part when you're hired there, they want you to be a line cook. I'm a gourmet chef. And so when I'm trying to, you know, add some of my own ideas of how the recipe could be improved, they're like, hey, we're McDonald's. We sell 1 billion hamburgers.
Before his release in 2017, the company seemed to like him. He used his gift to the gab to get over on commentary, and his first pay-per-view match was at WrestleMania. But Aries ultimately did nothing in his WWE run. Rumors swelled that Aries was a much liked backstage because WWE officials hated his self-entitlement. Any chance of him returning was killed when he pulled that Bound for Glory stunt in 2018 following his match against Johnny Impact. He became blacklisted from most of the major wrestling companies after that moment. Unfortunately, Austin Aries was his own worst enemy. The guy had all the talent in the world, but his rumored behavior issues are the reason his career hit the ceiling. Number 6, DDP. Diamond Dallas Page's brief run will go down as one of the worst stints in company history.
Hey.
DDP was...
Diamond Dallas Page's stint in WWE might have not been, you know, came off the way, you know, people were hoping it was going to. But I can't be the only one that really fucked with the storyline between him and Taker, where he was like sort of stalking Undertaker's wife, whatever, and he would like, you know, creepy ass videos or whatever, spying on Undertaker's then wife Sarah. You know, played on like Raw and stuff like that, and you know that storyline fucking cooked, bro. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the Attitude Era, so that shit cooked.
Far from the greatest wrestler on the roster, but he was levels above Kevin Nash and Goldberg. More importantly, the guy had the it factor that he showcased during his time in WCW.
His
he quickly rose
career
from
didn't
a
start
lower
till he was
card act
35.
to one of WCW's top babyfaces organically before he had an incredible on-screen
People
presence.
forget how old Diamond Dallas Page actually
this
is.
hot babyface that could have been a draw for
like
WWE
65
was
now.
turned into a
Doesn't
cray
look it, though.
stalker in his
It's that
debut.
fucking yoga.
DDP himself admitted that he regrets the storyline, which was actually pitched to Stone Cold Steve Austin beforehand. Page was buried throughout the story, and he was even pinned by The Undertaker's wife. The former 3-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion was treated as a complete joke, and it didn't get better when the company tried to change his gimmick into a motivational speaker. It wasn't as bad as the Stalker storyline, but DDP never gained any momentum before he was stuck with terrible stories that resulted him in jobbing to the stars. DDP was a shell of his former self, which was no fault of his own. His career may not have lasted long, but there were no signs that WWE were going to book him better. Number 7, Scott Steiner. I think it's safe to say that most of the WCW stars in WWE flopped hard. Unlike DDP, WWE treated Steiner as a main event star when he first arrived in 2002. Steiner had everything Vince McMahon wanted in a wrestler: a great physique, strong promo skills, and a decent in-ring worker. His time was memorable in WCW because he felt unique from the entire roster. He had an incredible run with his brother Rick as a tag team champion, but Steiner going solo as Big Papa Pump is what turned him into a main eventer. He was an obnoxious asshole who could beat you up and steal your girl. Unfortunately, WWE didn't get this memo. He was brought in as a bland babyface
I
instead
remember
of the
that, bro,
charismatic
when,
heel character that got over in
Triple H and
WCW.
Scott Steiner had,
It didn't
like,
help
the
that
fucking
Steiner had
like,
two
the
terrible matches against
bench
Triple H.
off or whatever.
His performance killed
Pose
his
down.
dreams of main eventing again since he plummeted down to the lower card immediately. Steiner's failure in WWE can be attributed to both creative and the man himself. He never showed Vince why he belonged in the main event, but he didn't give him many opportunities to do so either. Number 8, Sting. Out of all the WCW legends, Sting's run in the company is easily...
I've said it before and I'll say it again. For as big and as global as Sting is, he's one of the only people I know that got to the levels that he's gotten to without a Vince McMahon pushing him to the fucking moon. I mean, Undertaker, Steve Austin, The Rock, Cain, like all these massive names in pro wrestling were thanks to Vince McMahon. The Vince McMahon's creative. Sting became the icon Sting without. He only was in WWE once in 2017 for like 6 months or whatever. Sting has gotten to the levels that he's gotten to without a Vince McMahon or a WWE. So I mean, that should speak for something, bro. Like, Sting is a fucking icon, man. And he is absolutely 100% self-made.
The most disappointing. Sting represented the best parts of WCW, and it could be argued that he wasted his best years in TNA, but the short period that Sting had in WWE wasn't a positive indication that he would have been better served under Vince McMahon's creative genius. There was a huge excitement over Sting's shocking debut at Survivor Series, but all of Sting's aura was killed when he jobbed in his very first WWE match. His second match wasn't any better, and the career-threatening injury had nothing to do with the lackluster build between Rollins and Sting. Though no one expected a former WCW World Heavyweight Champion to pull out classics at this stage of his career, Sting felt like just another guy on the roster. His career may have been cut short based on a freak accident, but he didn't feel like an icon at any point in his brief WWE stint. Number 9, Lex Luger. A $1 million body doesn't equal a successful career. When you hear about Lex Luger, he's considered a legend in this business. He made a splash in NWA and WCW mainly because of his perfect body, but that isn't to say that Luger wasn't a solid performer. He certainly got over thanks to his time in the Four Horsemen, and his reign as WCW World Heavyweight Champion helped increase his popularity. So what exactly happened? Well, unlike many other names on this list, WWE tried their damned hardest to push Luger as the next big thing. They pushed him as the narcissist, with the gimmick being that Luger would pose in front of a mirror in every match. Luger had the looks to pull off the gimmick, but his charisma paled in comparison to what a main event star should be. And then Hulk Hogan left WWE in '93. Vince McMahon needed a new face of the company, and instead of going with a guy like Bret Hart or The Undertaker, he chose Luger. Luger dropped the narcissist act and became Mr. All-American, but that only damaged him further. Hogan was by no means a fantastic wrestler either, but the guy had personality and charisma. Subtract 95% of that, you get Lex Luger. It was clear that the
Hulk Hogan had fucking charisma for days, bro. That dude was a fucking maniac.
Former WCW World Heavyweight Champion was a cheap replacement for Hulkamania. Vince wisely opted not to put the belt on Luger at WrestleMania 10 once he realized that Luger wasn't the guy to replace Hulk Hogan. Sometimes a guy just doesn't have the it factor, and there's no denying Luger's success and popularity in WCW, but it didn't click much with the WWE audience despite Vince McMahon trying his damned hardest to push him as the next big thing. Number 10, Cain Velasquez. Oh boy, where do we begin? Look, Cain Velasquez will go down as one of the best UFC heavyweights in the company's history. There's no denying his skill as a fighter. Hell, he had some skill as a pro wrestler, as before he made his way into WWE, he was making some moves in Lucha Libre AAA. The problem? WWE didn't want Cain Velasquez, the luchador. They wanted a guy who beat Brock Lesnar for the UFC Heavyweight Championship at UFC 121. Unfortunately, that guy looked like an amateur when he and Lesnar collided at Crown Jewel. But it wasn't just the fact that Velasquez lost his debut match, he didn't have the look of a WWE superstar, and he wasn't known for his charisma like Shawn Michaels. To be honest, it was kind of a mystery why they signed him in the first place. Rumors are that Vince wanted a marquee athlete for Crown Jewel, and apparently Tyson Fury wasn't enough. Velasquez is considered a UFC legend, but he wasn't an international star like McGregor. He could have developed into something special if they sent him down to the Performance Center first, but it felt as if Velasquez's only purpose was to lose to Brock Lesnar. And Gable Steveson. But not everyone can be Kurt Angle.
Gable Steveson was such a failure.
The hard way with the failure of Gable Steveson. The company touted Gable big time as he made numerous pay-per-view appearances that highlighted him as a special attraction. He was even drafted to the Raw brand in 2021, but he wouldn't make his official debut until July 30th, 2023, and it did not go well. Gable was far from terrible. His suplexes looked solid and his movement could have been worse, but he was no freaking Kurt Angle. The match was a massive misfire with fans and critics, and Gable Steveson wouldn't be seen on TV again. It's clear that Steveson wasn't ready for primetime television, but there's also a question on how much his heart was really into pro wrestling. His outside projects seemed more important than his spot on the WWE roster. All that hype for a wrestler who turned out to be less than average at best. There you have it, folks. 10 of the
Gable
biggest busts
was
in WWE.
Such a failure, bro. Damn, guys, man, that was biggest bust in WWE history, man. Like, there was a lot of busts on this list. I wasn't expecting to see somebody like Austin Aries on this list. His WWE run was very, very small. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really remember too much about it. I don't even remember why he left WWE in the first place. You know, when he was really involved in his run, I wasn't necessarily watching, like, on a weekly basis or whatever. You know what I mean? So, it was crazy stuff, man. You know, sometimes you think somebody's going to be massive, and you think, you know, and they end up becoming nothing, and then somebody you think is below average, you know, like John Cena, you know, ends up becoming the biggest star in the business. So, you know, that's just the way it is, man. Anyway, guys, man, I appreciate you guys stopping by the video, stopping by the channel once again. If you guys have not, make sure you guys leave a comment, leave a like on the video, smash the subscribe button with the notification button turned on. Road to 1,300 subscribers. Appreciate you guys so much. Peace.